Welcome to Twisted Fairy Tale, the YouTube channel that exposes your favorite fairy tales. In today's video, we'll expose the sinister truth behind Humpty Dumpty's fall. Watch till the end for a shocking reveal. Now, sit back, relax, maybe grab your favorite snack, and be prepared to have your mind blown.
The sinister truth behind Humpty Dumpty's fall. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. You've known that rhyme your whole life. It's a simple story, maybe a riddle, about a clumsy egg. That image of a fragile, well-dressed egg teetering on a wall is burned into our collective memory. We can all picture the fall, the shatter, and the king's men trying to clean up the mess. It's a classic, straightforward piece of childhood. But that story is a complete lie. It's a carefully constructed fiction designed to cover up a history of fallen kings, brutal wars, and political murder. For centuries, this seemingly innocent rhyme has been a vessel, a Trojan horse, carrying the dark truths of our past, hiding them in plain sight. The whole idea of Humpty Dumpty being an egg is a surprisingly recent invention, a distraction from a far more sinister reality. So, what if Humpty Dumpty wasn't an egg at all? What if he, or it was, a terrifying weapon of war, a symbol of royal collapse, or even a murdered king? Today, we're cracking the shell of the world's most famous nursery rhyme. We're going to dismantle the story you think you know, and expose the shocking theories that reveal the truth it was designed to hide. This is a journey into the dark heart of a riddle, whose answer isn't an egg, but a terrifying glimpse into the most violent chapters of history. Section 1. The official story and the first crack. Before we get into the conspiracies and conflicts, let's talk about the egg in the room. If the rhyme never says he's an egg, where did we get that idea? The first known printed versions, from the late 18th century, present it purely as a riddle. An 1803 version goes, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. 80 men and 80 more could not place Humpty as he was before. The answer, of course, is an egg. Once it shatters, you can't put it back together. For decades, that was its main job, a clever little word puzzle. The big change happened in 1871, thanks to Lewis Carroll's Through the Looking Glass. In the book, Alice meets Humpty Dumpty himself, brought to life by John Tenniel's iconic illustration. There he is, a giant, cranky, sentient egg in a cravat, sitting on that wall. This Humpty is arrogant and loves to argue about words, famously telling Alice, "When I use a word, it means just what I choose it to mean, neither more nor less." That image was so powerful, it became the official version. Carroll and Tenniel didn't invent the egg as the answer, but they gave it a face and a personality. From then on, Humpty Dumpty was an egg. The riddle became a story, and the answer became the character. But this is where things get interesting. By accepting the egg as the literal truth, we let it become the perfect camouflage. Historians argue that this charming, modern take is a red herring, a simple answer that papers over a much more violent history. The original slang Humpty Dumpty from the 17th and 18th centuries had nothing to do with eggs. It was a nickname for a short, clumsy person. It could also refer to a strong drink made of brandy boiled with ale, something that could definitely cause you to have a great fall.
Make sure you are subscribed and maybe just give it a like.
The fact that the rhyme never names its subject, plus the original meaning of the name, opens the door to some wild possibilities. The egg story is simple and safe for kids. The historical theories? They are anything but. They're stories of civil war, rebellion, and shattered monarchies. The first crack in the official story shows us we aren't talking about a broken egg, but about broken kingdoms and the instruments of war. Section 2. The canon theory. The most popular theory throws us into one of England's bloodiest conflicts, the English Civil War. It's 1648. Royalist forces, loyal to King Charles I, are fighting the parliamentarian army, the Roundheads. Our scene is the fortified town of Colchester, a Royalist stronghold under a brutal 11-week siege. The key to Colchester's defense was a massive cannon, perched high on the tower of St. Mary at the Walls Church. According to the legend, soldiers nicknamed this squat, powerful weapon Humpty Dumpty, a fitting name based on the slang for something short and bulky. For weeks, Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall of the church tower, part of the city's defenses. It rained fire down on the enemy, and as the story goes, it was manned by a skilled one-eyed gunner named Jack Thompson. But the parliamentarian commander, Sir Thomas Fairfax, knew he had to take that cannon out. He focused his own artillery on the tower. Day after day, cannonballs smashed into the stone until, finally, the inevitable happened. A direct hit destroyed the top of the tower, and the wall beneath the great cannon crumbled. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. The colossal weapon crashed to the ground below. All the king's men, the Royalist soldiers, rushed to try and save it. They brought horses and ropes, hoping to hoist the cannon back into position. But it was no use. It was too heavy, too broken, and stuck deep in the marshy ground. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. The loss of their best weapon shattered the defenders' morale. Soon after, Colchester surrendered. The fall of the cannon led directly to the fall of the city. This theory gives a thrilling cinematic explanation for every single line in the rhyme. It turns a nursery rhyme into a gritty ballad of war. But as compelling as it is, we have to be critical. Modern historians have poured cold water on this story. While a cannon on that church tower really was destroyed, there are 0 accounts from the 17th century that call it Humpty Dumpty. It seems the theory was invented in the 1950s and then heavily pushed by the local tourist, bored in the 1990s. The highly respected Victoria County History of Essex even dismissed the claim as having no historical basis. So, is the cannon story just a modern myth? A clever bit of marketing? Probably. But an even darker theory points not to a weapon of war, but to a man, one of England's most hated kings. We're about to jump even further back in time, to an era of royal betrayal and a battle that changed history. If you're enjoying this deep dive into the hidden truths behind the stories you thought you knew, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what we uncover next. Section 3. The Royal Murder Theory. To meet our next Humpty Dumpty, we have to go back another 2 centuries to the Wars of the Roses. The year is 1485, and our subject is one of the most controversial figures in English history, King Richard III. For centuries, Richard III was cast as the ultimate villain. After he died, Tudor historians, especially Shakespeare, launched a propaganda campaign to make their new dynasty look good. They painted Richard as a monstrous tyrant, a poisonous bump-backed toad. This image of him as a hunchback, a crookback king stuck. And what was 17th century slang for a short, clumsy, or hunchbacked person? Humpty Dumpty. The connection is immediate. Humpty Dumpty, the hunchbacked man, was King Richard III. In this light, the rhyme becomes a chilling retelling of his downfall at the Battle of Bosworth Field. The wall Humpty sat on was his horse, some fringe versions of the theory even claim. Without proof, his horse was named Wall. In the heat of battle, Richard was knocked off his horse. He had his great fall. Surrounded by his rival Henry Tudor's army, he was trapped. All the king's horses and all the king's men were his own loyal soldiers. But they couldn't save him. They couldn't break through the enemy lines to reach him, and they couldn't put their fallen king back on the throne. Richard III was hacked to death on the battlefield, the last English king to die in combat. His defeat was absolute. His kingdom couldn't be put together again. This theory offers a powerful story of royal collapse. It ties the rhyme to a pivotal moment in history and a fascinating character. And in 2012, when Richard III's skeleton was found under a parking lot, the story got even juicier. The bones confirmed he didn't have a hunchback, but severe scoliosis, which would have made one shoulder much higher than the other, easily exaggerated into a hump by his enemies. The skeleton also showed he died violently, with multiple severe wounds to his skull. But just like the canon theory, this is pure speculation. It relies on propaganda written long after Richard was dead. What's more, the most famous line, "All the king's horses and all the king's men," wasn't even in the first versions of the rhyme. The original said, "fourscore men and fourscore more," a generic phrase that weakens the link to a specific king's army. So we have two dramatic, compelling, but ultimately unproven theories. This brings us to the most unsettling question of all. If these popular theories are just stories, what is the real sinister truth? Section 4. The Sinister Truth Reveal. We've looked at a war machine and a fallen king. Both make for great stories, but both fall apart under scrutiny. The canon theory is modern marketing, and the Richard III theory is built on old propaganda. So, what if the sinister truth isn't that Humpty Dumpty was a specific thing? What if the secret is the rhyme itself? The real sinister truth is that the rhyme is a riddle about an irreversible fall from power. The Great Fall isn't one event. It is a timeless metaphor for any collapse, so complete that no amount of money or force can fix it. It can mean the fall of a government, the crash of an economy, or even a personal, spiritual crisis. Think of the rhyme as a political meme. In 17th century England, a time of huge political chaos, quietly sharing a rhyme about an unstoppable fall was a subtle but powerful act of protest. It could easily have been about King Charles I, whose fight with Parliament led to his own execution, a fall from which all the king's men definitely could unsave him. It could have been whispered about any powerful noble who was about to lose it all. The rhyme is a perfect piece of anti-authority propaganda, disguised as a children's game. Like a political cartoon, it uses a simple image to send a dangerous message. Anyone, no matter how powerful, can be shattered beyond repair. This metaphorical power is its true dark origin. It's not about one specific disaster, but about its power to be mapped onto any disaster. This adaptability is why it has survived for so long. It's become a cultural slate where every generation writes its own fears. The focus on the egg, the cannon, or the king is the ultimate misdirection. We've been trying to solve a historical mystery, looking for a single culprit. But the real secret is the rhyme's function as a weapon of commentary. Its meaning is whatever the powerless need it to be. When Lewis Carroll's Humpty Dumpty says, "A word," means just what I choose it to mean, he is accidentally revealing the rhyme's true sinister power. The truth is, we've been lied to repeatedly. The original riddle was hidden by the egg story, and the egg story was used to hide a dark history of political subversion. The search for one true meaning is a trap. The reality is that Humpty Dumpty is a floating symbol of catastrophic failure, a ghost in the machine of history, reminding us that every wall can be broken, and everything that sits on it can fall. We started with a simple story about a clumsy egg. We shattered that illusion and found a gritty tale of civil war and a giant cannon. From there, we traveled to a bloody battlefield and the death of King Richard III. But the final reveal wasn't a person or an object. It was an idea. The sinister truth is that the rhyme itself is a tool, a timeless metaphor for a collapse so total that nothing can fix it. For centuries, it has been used to criticize the powerful and predict their downfall. So the next time you hear those innocent lines, "Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall," will you picture a clumsy egg? Or will you see the fall of an empire, the death of a king, and a secret history of rebellion, whispered by generations? Which theory do you find most convincing? Was Humpty a cannon, a king, or something else entirely? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to uncover more dark secrets hidden in the stories you thought you knew, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.